Good morning and welcome to Morning Walk, where once again we discuss our walk of faith. My question for you this morning is, how spiritually perceptive are you? What do you see, spiritually speaking? Have you been to the eye doctor lately? Well, if you've been to the ophthalmologist, he typically will position you approximately 20 feet away from an eye chart on the wall, and then he'll ask you to read the little letters as far to the bottom as possible. And if you can read the bottom line of that eye chart, then you have 20/20 vision. Well, as we think of that normal analogy of how we perceive things in a physical sense, we might ask the question as to how we see things spiritually. You see, spiritual vision actually requires spiritual perception, because we're looking at the unseen. And so we can't use the natural eye, and we're used to using these eyes, aren't we? Rather than our spiritual eyes. And spiritual vision requires spiritual perception. And not all of us are as keenly spiritually aware as we might think. As Jesus said, unless one is born from above, he cannot see the kingdom of God. And so spiritual perception is based on the indwelling presence of the Spirit of God within our spirit. Paul wrote that there are spiritual things that the eye has not seen. So once again, we can't use these physical eyes or these physical ears, because he goes on to say the ear has not heard. So there's things that we don't understand in the natural realm. And he's reminding the Christian that to see, we must walk by faith, not by sight. That's why these morning walks with the Lord are so important. We must be open to see what God is revealing to us. And too frequently, we may not like what we see, because, God's ways are not our ways. And so he's wanting to do things through us differently than what we may have perceived. So many Christians seem to have what we might call a spiritual myopia, which is also referred to as nearsightedness or short-sightedness. Not seeing things from God's perspective can cause one to have a blurred or a negatively focused. In other words, the outcome, because we're negatively focused, won't be what God wanted. Attempting to do it our way. And so if we have that nearsightedness or short-sightedness, we're going to miss out on God's long-range vision of faith for what he's wanting to accomplish and do in our lives, attempting to do things our own way. And that would be certainly short-sightedness. That would blind us from experiencing what God desires to do abundantly in our lives. And so today I want to encourage you to stay focused on Jesus. Allow your perception to be his as you walk with him to see what he is doing. Then you will be experiencing life as he intended.